Whiskey for the pain.
Hello, welcome back to Ycft. We have just got out of seeing Together, directed by Michael Shanks in his directorial debut, starring Alison Brie and Dave Franco. The real-life couple play a couple who are moving from the city to the countryside whilst going through some relationship problems, hoping that this will help. Whilst there, they come across this otherworldly force which starts bringing them together, and they become closer in ways they weren't expecting.
To be fair, I don't think the marketing has made any secret as to what this film is really about.
Yes, the marketing has been pretty on the nose.
Yeah, like this is a full-blown body horror.
Yes.
I think it's pretty obvious if you watch the trailer, like, where this film is probably headed.
Even from like the very first scene, I was getting major John Carpenter's The Thing and The Thing 2011 vibes out of this. And then I do have to say, the scene where we first meet our main characters at the party in the city, I have never felt so uncomfortable in the best way possible. That kind of set my experience for the rest of the movie after that.
Yeah, because of a very particular moment.
Yes.
That transpires. Yes.
So before getting into our opinions on this film, I feel like we do have to talk about the controversy around it.
Uh-huh.
There is currently a copyright lawsuit against the film by the creators of a film called Better Half that came out, 2023?
2023, yeah, it's a rom-com.
Yeah, a rom-com about a couple that start to stick together.
Yes.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They claim that this movie is a straight-up rip-off of that film, and there are scenes that are shot for shot, song for song, the same, and it's like, oh, you can't really argue that. From what we've been able to see, the lawsuit hasn't been settled. It clearly hasn't affected the movie's release schedule, but Dave Franco and Alison Brie were approached about that film before it was made as well, so they would have seen the script for it. The director of Together claims that this film that Together was in development all the way back in 2019.
Yes, whereas Better Half went into development in 2020, or at least a script was delivered in 2020. So it's a little bit messy, the timeline. We don't have all the information.
Yes.
We don't really know where it's at, but yeah, it felt right to bring it up.
Like I said, there's no answers at the moment. Nothing's been settled. For now, we're just going to talk about our movie-going experience for this one, and we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
So, Sam, what did you think of it? What did you think of Together?
Yeah, I really like this one. I thought it was great. I knew from the trailer it looked really good. I felt that I was going to have a really good time with it, and I did. This is a funny film. Like, predominantly. Obviously, it's a horror, and it's a body horror. It's not as gory as I anticipated. I felt like the trailer... Well, my initial thoughts were the trailer was probably holding a lot of the gory scenes back. As I say, like, it is body horror for sure, but it's more cringe-inducing, I guess, than it is full-blown gore, which I appreciated. But I really like the humour in this, and I think a lot of it is brought by Franco and Brie, who obviously, you know, very skilled comedic actors, obviously have great chemistry together, so that kind of added another dimension to me, like another really delightful kind of dimension watching it, knowing that they are a real-life couple. I don't know, it just sort of like added to the overall experience for me. And yeah, I really liked it. It's hard to talk about specific scenes without going too much into spoiler territory, but I enjoyed the setup of this couple, where they are at the beginning. I enjoyed seeing it basically crumble and then go through all these different stages throughout the film. And I'm rooting for them as well. Is it fair to say that we sort of predicted what was going on to a point?
I wasn't really surprised by any of the revelations in this film. I think if you've got a keen eye...
The clues are there.
The clues are there. You can kind of work it out. I feel like we pretty much worked out the majority of the film. But it didn't detract from my enjoyment.
So what did you think of it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. Like, as you can probably tell by what I said at the beginning, there were certain scenes in this that made me incredibly uncomfortable.
Yes.
Not just that scene at the beginning, but throughout the film, I felt like I was on the edge of my seat when the film wanted me to be.
Yes.
I thought the performance was really good. I kind of described this to you as this feels like such a millennial movie. just the type of characters that we have, where they are in their lives, the issues that they are having. It just feels like a movie for like our generation specifically. I think coming from like, because in the last movie we reviewed was I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was a very Gen Z movie. This feels like a very millennial movie.
Yeah, like a couple in their mid-30s. They're sort of mentally in different places, I guess, even though they've been together for a very long time.
Yeah, mentally in different places, career-wise in very different places.
Yeah.
They are talking, but not necessarily about the right things.
One still maybe stuck in Fantasyland a little bit in terms of, disappointed that they didn't achieve their teenage aspirations and their teenage dreams.
There's something about Tim and Millie as characters that you are just kind of rooting for.
Yeah.
Even though there is always a part in your mind saying, would these characters actually be better if they just split?
Yeah.
But you are kind of rooting for them as individuals as well to get through the things that they're struggling with. There is a version of this film that you could take all the body horror out of it, although apparently that film might have been made back in 2023. The horror elements to it were kind of just a nice added bonus.
Yeah, definitely.
But I will say, if you've seen the trailer, I do think a lot of the key scenes are shown in the trailer. And that's not saying there's not good stuff in here that we haven't seen, but I recognised a lot.
Yeah.
So it kind of took a lot of the surprise out of it for me. But I did still really enjoy this film. Great performances. I really enjoyed the script and just how the characters interacted with each other, or rather didn't interact, how they danced around subjects. I really enjoyed that. You're all right, the movie is quite funny when it needs to be, but it's not like ruining a tense moment with like a quip. And
I think that the comedy and the horror merge really well together. Obviously not going into too much detail, but for instance, there is a sex scene in the film, and given the wider context of what this film is ultimately about, two people fusing together, that moment creates just as much comedy as it does horror, so there's some really cool scenes and really cool interactions, and the balance of the comedy and horror just played out really well. I do think, yes, you are right, that is the script, but it's also Brie and Franco who just kind of naturally play off each other very, very well. The film also just hits quite hard emotionally, I think, too, in again where it needs to, so it's doing all the right things. There's a really cool use of prosthetics actually as well, which thankfully the trailer did not reveal. I think that would have been sacrilegious, but really cool physical effects that we see in this one.
And yeah, it was just a really good ride, and especially in a pretty full screening like we had for it.
Yeah.
So you can gauge the audience's reaction when they're laughing, when they're supposed to laugh, and you can feel people uncomfortable, the noises, the shifting in the chairs.
Yeah.
That's what going to the cinema for horror is all about, and just experiencing those uncomfortable moments with people. So I think if you are going to go watch this film, go with a partner or take some friends and see who reacts to what.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only really, not necessarily negatives, but critiques I have is that the trailer does give away a little bit too much. I think if you've seen a lot of movies like this, you can kind of see where it's going. You can kind of predict it a little bit. But you can kind of put all that aside if you get along with the characters and you can just follow their story.
Yeah, I actually would just say, just on the trailer side of it, I kind of think the trailer gives a few misdirections too. More in terms of the characters and the plot. Because all the times I'd seen the trailer, I really felt like it's leaning towards, establishing the dynamics of where this couple are. This is just the vibes that I got. But then actually having seen the film, the dynamics weren't what they are at all. And that was completely flipped for me. And that was it was just interesting for me to watch it thinking, oh, okay, they're not actually in this place at the start of the relationship. Or this is not actually the reason why they go to the cabin. It threw me a little bit, but in a good way. It wasn't as predictable as maybe as I thought it was going to be.
I'd agree that there's definitely some bits in the trailer where tonally in the film they are completely different, and I did appreciate that. I think it's more like some of the key moments.
Yeah.
But like I also said, there is still stuff in the film that's not in the trailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, together. We went and watched it together, and together we had a pretty darn good time. It was very entertaining. You're having a good time when you really, really need to go for a bathroom break midway through the movie, and you stay in your seat because you don't want to miss something.
Yeah.
That was my experience of this movie.
Yeah.
Sitting through the discomfort while watching characters on the big screen go through worse discomfort than you, because you're having a good time watching them. So we would recommend it.
Oh, for sure. I'd watch it again, definitely.
Yeah, I would like. I'm really interested to see the behind the scenes on this film.
Same.
And let us know what you think of it. And we'll see you when we see you.
Bye.